You can feel it the moment you start telling a story and the room goes quiet for the wrong reason. Not because they are pulled in, but because they are politely waiting for you to land the plane. Your throat gets tight, you speed up, you add details that do not help, and you can almost see their eyes doing math. How long is this going to take, and what am I supposed to do with it? If you have ever walked away from a conversation thinking, I had something good there, but I could not make them feel it, I know that feeling. It is not that you are boring. It is that you are carrying the whole story alone. You are holding all the meaning in your head, and the other person is standing outside the glass, watching your mouth move. Most people think compelling stories are about being entertaining. That is what makes them tense. They perform. They try to be funny. They try to sound impressive. They try to get to the point fast. Then they panic and add context. Then they apologize for taking too long. The story becomes a small stress test. The listener feels that stress. Even if they like you, their body starts preparing to escape. A story that lands is not a performance. It is a shared experience you build in someone else's nervous system. You are guiding attention. You are giving the listener a place to stand. Then you let something shift under their feet. That is impact. I learned this the hard way in a conference room that smelled like dry coffee and printer toner. I was presenting an idea to a group that had already decided they were tired. You know that posture. Arms crossed, laptop half open, eyes flicking down to notifications. I started explaining. I had facts. I had logic. I had the whole spreadsheet in my mind. I watched their faces stay flat. I kept talking. My voice got slightly higher, slightly faster. I tried to earn attention by adding more information. That is a common mistake. When I feel someone drifting, I want to chase them with detail. But detail is heavy. It makes the listener work. And when people have to work too hard, they stop caring. Then I stopped. Not dramatically, just a pause. I felt my feet on the floor. I let my shoulders drop. I picked one moment and I placed it in the room. I described being on a customer call the week before, sitting in my car because it was the only quiet place, watching the battery warning light blink while the customer tried to sound calm, and hearing the small break in their voice when they said they were embarrassed to keep asking for help. I described my own stomach sinking because I realized our process was not just inefficient, it was putting people in a position where they felt stupid. No fancy language, just a moment with a human cost. The room changed, not because I suddenly became charismatic. It changed because I gave them something their brain could simulate. They could see the car. They could feel the awkwardness. They could predict the rest. Now the spreadsheet had a heartbeat. That is what a good story does. It gives people a felt sense of what matters. Facts tell. Stories let people experience. When I craft a story for impact, I start by asking myself a quiet question. What is the moment where something became real for me? Not the moment I understood it intellectually, the moment I felt it in my body. That is usually where the listener will feel it too. A lot of people miss this because they start from the beginning. They start from background. They start from setting up why they are qualified. That is fear. The fear is, if I do not justify myself, they will not take me seriously. So I front-load credentials, context, and disclaimers. The listener hears that and thinks this is going to be long. You do not need to start at the beginning. You need to start at the first moment of tension. Tension does not mean drama. It means something is at stake. Something could go wrong. Someone could be misunderstood. Someone could lose face. Someone could lose time. Someone could lose trust. Think about how stories show up in real life. At work, you are trying to persuade a manager to approve your plan. In a relationship, you are trying to explain why a small comment hurt. With friends, you are trying to share something that happened without sounding like you are complaining. With a stranger, you are trying to make a quick connection that feels safe. In all of those moments, the other person is scanning for three things. Why are you telling me this? How long will it take? What do you want from me? If you answer those questions without saying them out loud, the listener relaxes. They stop bracing. Your story becomes easy to receive. I think of it like holding a glass of water. If I grip it too hard, my knuckles go white and the other person feels my tension. If I hold it steady, they can take a sip. Your body language is part of the story. If you look away while you talk, if you fidget, if you talk in one long rush, you are telling a second story. You are telling them, I'm not sure this matters, or I am afraid you will judge me, or I need you to like me. Calm confidence is not loud. It is paced. It is letting a sentence end. It is allowing a pause without filling it with nervous laughter. When you do that, you give your story weight. Now, there is a trap here. Some people hear this and they try to be intense. They lower their voice. They stare. They act like every story is profound. That makes people uncomfortable. The goal is not intensity. The goal is clarity and honesty. A compelling story is clear about what it is really about. Most weak stories are about one thing on the surface, but the teller is secretly trying to get something else: approval, sympathy, control, a chance to look smart. The listener feels the hidden agenda and they resist. So I try to name my real intention to myself before I start. Am I sharing to connect? Am I sharing to persuade? Am I sharing to repair? Am I sharing to set a boundary? If I do not know, the story will wander. I remember a night with a friend where I did this badly. We were sitting in a booth, the table sticky from spilled soda, music low in the background. My friend had been canceling plans a lot. I had built up resentment. I wanted them to change, but I did not want to look needy. So I told a story about a different friend who used to cancel and how it made me feel and how I learned to be independent. I thought I was being subtle. I thought I was being mature. My friend nodded, but their eyes narrowed slightly. They could feel they were being cornered without being addressed. I left feeling unheard. They left feeling judged. That is what indirect stories do. They create fog. Later I tried again. I told a smaller, cleaner story. I described one specific evening. I had cooked, I had set 2 plates out, I had checked my phone too many times, and when the cancellation text came in, I felt stupid for caring. I owned my feeling without blaming. I did not accuse them of being a bad person. I made it about the moment and the impact. That landed. Not because it was perfect, but because it was honest. It gave them a chance to step toward me instead of defend themselves. This is a big part of impact. A story that makes people defensive is a story that makes them the villain. Even if you do not say it, they feel it. Their brain starts building a case. They stop listening for meaning and start listening for threats. If I want connection, I frame the story so the listener can stay human. I describe what I assumed. I describe what I did not understand yet. I describe the fear under my reaction. When I do that, I invite empathy instead of a courtroom. You can do the same thing at work. If you are telling a story about a project that failed, do not make it a hero story where you were the only competent person surrounded by fools. People hear that and they do not trust you. They may smile, but they file you under unsafe. A better story includes your own blind spot, the moment you realized you missed something, the moment you felt your ego flare, the moment you wanted to blame someone and then you noticed it. That kind of self-awareness is persuasive because it signals you are not trying to win, you are trying to tell the truth. Impact also comes from choosing the right level of detail. Too little detail and the story feels abstract. Too much detail and the listener gets lost. I aim for details that create a scene and reveal emotion. The light in the hallway at midnight. The sound of a notification when you are waiting for an answer. The way your stomach drops when you realize you said the wrong thing. Those details do not decorate the story. They carry the feeling. Then I cut the details that are really about me proving I was right. Timelines, long explanations, every message I sent, That is usually my anxiety trying to build a legal case. Stories are not court documents. They are bridges. There is another thing people miss. A compelling story does not just describe what happened. It shows what changed. Change can be tiny. A shift in how you see someone. A shift in what you are willing to tolerate. A shift in what you value. A shift in what you are afraid of. If nothing changes, the listener wonders why they listened. They might not say it, but their brain is always asking, what is the point? Sometimes the change is internal. I went into the meeting wanting to impress, and I left realizing I needed to ask for help. I went into the conversation ready to argue, and I left understanding what they were protecting. I went into the party thinking everyone was judging me, and I left noticing that most people were just trying to feel comfortable too. That last one matters more than people admit. A lot of social anxiety comes from believing everyone is evaluating you. The truth is, most people are busy managing themselves. They are wondering where to put their hands. They are wondering if they are talking too much. They are hoping they do not look awkward. When you tell a story that includes that truth, you give people relief. You make them feel seen. I have watched this happen with strangers. Standing in a long line, late afternoon, everyone tired, shoulders slumped, small size. If I tell a story that is really just me complaining, it spreads the fatigue.